we can use it for model training when we have large data scale, but you don't have access to them locally, but you can access to the data from a cloud, right? So that's how it works. So we have platforms such as the Huawei Cloud AI, right? There's a what is that? They call Huawei Cloud AI. So that's a service that is provided by Huawei. So the Huawei Cloud AI can give you access to a cloud where you can actually train your models, right? If you want to have access to these servers and everything, you can get access to Ascent's AI clusters. So that will help you in terms of the computing power here. So you're training your model straight from the cloud. And then you have on edge you have real-time inference, okay, at network edges, right? Such as if you're dealing with IoT, Internet of Things, and any type of industrial devices. So basically, you have all your routers and all those things. Okay. So some of the devices that can be used here. When we talk about computing power, we're going to learn about certain devices such as the Ascent 310. The Ascent 310, so the one here, Ascent. So the Ascent 310 is used for model inference. So we're going to talk about that when we talk about computing power. Okay, and then you have on device. So here we spoke about your smartwatches, your phones. So basically, you can have a lightweight AI on your smartphone or on your watches. Okay, so the key platforms that use those, you have, for example, Mindspore Lite, which we're going to talk about, and Ascent Lite. All right, so basically, this all scenario support mode can actually allow us to train once and deploy everywhere. You understand? So some key features that we can say about Mindspore is that basically it's very easy to train your model with that, because it's like you are using certain APIs to train, as you can connect to the cloud, edge, and device. Okay, so that's one of the advantages of Mindspore. Okay, all right. So an example can be, let's say you want to train a CNN, right? So you can train that CNN in the cloud, and then you deploy it using an Ascent 200, right? In terms of deployment, an Ascent 200 device, and then you take the app, you use it in inference, you use it on a mobile app by using Mindspore Lite, which are one of the platforms that we're going to talk about today, right? So the steps to do that will be, first of all, you train your model. Remember, Mindspore also work with Python programming language. So you're going to train your model using Mindspore on maybe a cloud CPU, right? And then you're going to export your model, and you're going to use Mindspore Lite converter to compress and optimize the model, and then you deploy it on any device, such as an Android app with NPU acceleration. NPU, remember what we said, the neural processing unit. So you have all those things that you can actually develop models like that. Okay, so this is the architecture of Mindspore, where we have something like this, basically the model that we have here, which is Model Zoo. Okay, so basically Model Zoo is just a pre-built, system within the Mindspore infrastructure, right? Which can help us to create all these AI models from the framework, from the Mindspore framework. Okay, so what is it really? What is really this Model Zoo, right? So basically, we see We create all these new natural language processing systems, and we have different type of systems that we can do. So it's basically kind of a collection of ready-to-use models, right? Which goes from computer vision to natural language processing. You have dealing with audio, you know, type of recommendation systems. Okay, so you have all these systems that are ready to use models that you can get with Model Zoo, right? It's just a library where you can get all these things. Okay, so basically you can get them and then implement them into Mindspo. Okay, so you need to understand that how it comes, obviously, because it's pre-trained models. So obviously it's gonna have pre-trained weights, you know, all the weights in terms of training the model will be optimized already. Okay, so then you're gonna get a ready-made model. For example, I think last time I spoke about a certain model that you can use in your what you call that, in your as a model that is already made. For example, if you're dealing with text or whatever, there is a model called text CNN, text CNN. So it's pre-trained. So it's a pre-trained model that you can use for your scenario. Okay. Okay. So that's the advantage of using Mindspo, because you know it becomes easy, you know, to actually train models, because now you have all these ready-made models and everything just become easy for you. Okay, so and then the whole architecture of Mindspo, we also said we spoke about the different API levels, structures, because certain APIs can be used for beginners, certain can be used for advanced or other people who have a certain type of knowledge about machine learning. So basically, if you are just a beginner, better to use the high level API just to create simple models. But when you use the medium level API, you need to have an understanding of layers, optimizers, and all these data sets. And then you have the low level API, which is for more advanced, right? Now, in these all scenario modes, okay, of Mindful, as we said, we have different components of Mindful, okay. So now, looking at these components of Mindful, I've just spoken about Model Zoo, right? Spoken about Model Zoo. You also have Mindful Dev Kit, right? So what is Mindful Dev Kit? So basically, the Mindful Dev Kit is also called just Dev Kit, right? This is just a set of plugins. You know what we call plugins? Does anyone know what is a plugin? And you know, like a few words, a term plugin when it comes uh, to programming or software. Have you heard the word plugins? Has anyone heard the word plugin?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So basically, a plugin. When, let's say, for example, you're building a website, and then you want your website to have, you know, at the bottom of your website, you want to have maybe a WhatsApp icon there, where if someone click on the WhatsApp icon, it can open maybe a chatbot, and then the person can chat to the support service of that website using WhatsApp. You don't have to recreate WhatsApp or anything like that, but you use a small software within your program. So that is the plugin. So you're going to use maybe a WhatsApp plugin. You're creating a WordPress website. You need a calendar somewhere that looks like to like create events, people register for events. Instead of you recreating the whole form, a database that is recording all those information that the people registering for the event, you can just download a plugin. That means it's an event plugin, something that already have those functionalities. So a plugin is just an external software that you can import into your software. So this MindSport Dev Kit, it's basically a development kit. It's a set of developer plugins, right? So there's plugins that you can add in your MindSport just to enhance the experience of building AI applications in MindSport, right? So when you're in MindSport, you will need, maybe you want a plugin that can do something, you understand? So you don't have to recreate it. You can actually use certain plugins. So you must understand MindSport Dev Kit is just a set of developer productivity plugins that enhance your experience while building all these models, right? So you need to understand that these plugins, right? So these plugins can be integrated in even platforms such as all your development interfaces. I don't know if you know what is a developer interface. All your developer interface, such as VS Code, PyCharm, all those that you can use on your computer. So you can basically implement all these plugin there. Okay, so this is more for AI development, right? So it's basically help you create all these MindSport projects. It works with training, inference, and conversion. So any action that you want to do, you can get a plugin that can do that action. Okay, so that's the advantage of using this plugin, right? So now, basically, you will actually need to install it in whatever IDE that you are using, your interface of as a developer. Wherever you're using it, you will need to install it. Okay, so and then we have MindSport Extend, which is just an advanced extended library, right? So basically, with the MindSport Extend library, right? So this is basically a collection of just some components that can extend the functionalities of MindSport framework. Okay, so if you are training your model, you need maybe more components to help you maybe with data processing or converting your model or creating a distributed training where you're training your model different devices or things like that. So now when we look at these additional components that we may need for different functionalities in our MindSport, so the part of MindSport that help you with that is MindSport Extend, which is just a library for which is a collection of different components that help you extend the functionalities of MindSport. Okay, so this is very useful for all the developers, researchers, or anyone using MindSport. Okay, so you need to understand that there is a lot of components that you can actually include in MindSport, and that is done with MindSport Extend. Okay. Okay, so the next one will be we have this how you call this MindSport app. Now, remember now here we have, when we have MindSport, we have components of MindSport that help us in the training and validation of our model. And then we also have components that will help us in terms of device cloud unified IR, which we're going to mention. We're going to talk about it now. But from here now, we already have a model, right? Which we can deploy using MindSport Lite, to deploy it on a device. We can use mindful serving to deploy it on cloud, or we can use end edge incremental learning, such as fine tuning. So basically, when we already have our model, we check if the model is still performing well. We check if there's anything that we need to change. That's when we're going to change it, and then we see how we can improve our model. So now, looking at this part, when we have to deal with downloading the models, having the model thing. So we have Mindful app. Mindful app, in this case, we have pre-trained model. So what is Mindful app? So this is basically a pre-trained model management, okay? Which will allow you to basically download models, right? You can download it from other developers or from Huawei developers communities. So with Mindsport app, you can be able to download pre-trained models. It also allows you to publish your own model for others to use. Let's say, for example, you've done your research, you create a certain model that does a certain thing, and then you want other people to use it. So you can publish it using Mindsport app. Okay, so you can publish it on Mindsport app. So if you publish your model, and then other people can use it in their software. So we have that. Okay, and it can also be used for to easily integrate models into training, fine tuning, or inference workflows. Okay, so it actually works with Mindsport framework, and it will support transfer learning, inference, and all the type of deployment that we spoke about there, when you can deploy on device and all those things. So basically, that's how Mindsport app will actually help you. So remember, this is basically a sharing platform. It's a platform where we share our model. So there's certain key features of Mindsport app. So basically, when you're on this platform here, you can be able to search by model name. You understand? So, for example, you've heard that there is a certain model that does a certain thing. For example, you have a software that you've created, but you want to implement a facial recognition system. You want to recognize the user by their face. You want to use that as a login. You don't have to recreate the system to recognize people's face. You don't have to recreate a system for image detections. All you have to do is go on Mindsport app, search maybe face detection or something like that. Search and see if you can find a model that is already pre-trained that can do that. And if you can find that, then you can implement it and see how you can implement it in your software. So you don't have to recreate everything. That's the advantage of actually dealing with machine learning today. It's because there is a lot of scenarios out there that already have open source uh, models out there. So you can actually get a model. So if you're dealing, for example, with natural language processing, you're dealing with maybe you have a problem, you can go there, search, you write classification, and then you see the list of all the models that are dealing with classification. And then if you research that, you can be able to actually load all the pre-trained model with just a few lines of code. And then you can take those and see how you can implement it in your own environment. Okay, and then you can also, as I said, you can also share your own model with the community or anybody else. Okay, and then you can obviously see how you're gonna take it to the next level. So remember, Mindsport app is just a platform to help you download pre-trained model or to publish your own model for other people to use it. All right. Any questions so far, guys? Yeah. So So basically, when we talk about the device cloud unified IR, yeah, Mind IR. Okay. So when we're talking about Mind IR, so basically Mind IR stands for Mind Intermediate Representation. The IR stands for Intermediate Representation. So the Mind IR is just it's just a model format, right? It's just a model format which we use in MindSpo, which represents a trained neural network. Okay, so you just need to understand the MindRR will just be the bridge between training and deployment. So when you're looking at a format, when you have, for example, a document where you have tables and everything. So if you use Microsoft Excel, there will be a certain format of that file. So if I take an Excel file, which can be in, I think, Excel what? What's the extension of an Excel file again? Anybody remember? Apart from a CSV, if it's not a CSV.
Isn't it an XML something?
Yeah, it's XL. Is that XLXX? Something. What's the format, guys? Does anyone remember that again? When you're saving an Excel sheet, what's
it's XLXS.
yes. Okay.
Vice versa. Sorry, vice versa. It's XLSX. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So you have you can either save it in XLSX, right, which is kind of a default format that you have there, or you can also save it in XLS, right? And then you have XLSM, and then you have the CSV, as I said. So basically, then you will see, for example, when you're using machine learning, you will see most of the time we will import the data that were written in Excel, we save them as CSV, and then we import it into our model. For example, you want to use those data, right? So now, when you think about it now, even in machine learning, we need a format for our model. So the model are saved in a certain format. So now what's happening is that with Minds IR, which is kind of the bridge between training and deployment, and deployment in Mindful, right? So that's what the Mind IR does. So basically, if you want to take the model that was created here, you want to take it to import it to the deployment. So take it on a device or something like that. So this is the intermediate. So it's gonna basically give us the right for that. Okay. So when you look at that, we can have models in the right format that we're going to because you need to realize that Mindful need a format that can represent a model, right? Despite which what devices you are using or anything like that. So it needs to be in a certain format. So to get the right format in Mindful, we need to use MindIR. Okay. So a MindIR file will be a file that has the right format to be used in Mindful. Okay. So that's what you need to understand about MindIR. And then again, as we understand in all this, now when we were talking about training and validation, that where we will have, for example, the Minds for Insights, for debugging and tuning. You have for data processing, you have Minds for Data, and then for security mechanism, we have Minds for Armor, right? So those are the difference packages that we have. All right. And then when it comes to deployment, so basically this is deployment. Is there anyone who does not know what we mean when we say deployment? Anyone who doesn't understand when we talk about deployment? So everyone understand what is deployment, right? Can anybody tell us what do we mean when we say deploying a model?
So how I know it is like, okay, so when you've developed a software, right, you first develop it and then you test it, and then development comes when you're actually as in opening up the software to be used by the public or certain people that are actually supposed to use it. So yeah, that's how I understand deployment.
Okay, explain again.
I was saying how like it's when you've developed a software, right, and
Yeah,
it has been tested and it works fine, right, and then deploying it is the act of allowing other users to have access to the app. It's
yeah,
like
yeah,
putting it out there so that people
yeah,
can now download it and start using it.
yeah. So it's basically it can be summarized in one word, uh, publishing the app. So that's it. Deployment means publishing. So you are done creating your model, you now want to publish it, which can be integrated into another device or can be integrated into another software. You understand? So that's what uh, deployment means. So all these are part of deployment. Okay. What about when we talk about inference? Model inference. What is model inference? What is model inference? Is there anyone who doesn't know what is model inference? Anybody who doesn't know what is model inference? Or is there anyone who knows what is model inference? What's the difference, or maybe let me ask like this, what's the difference between deployment and inference?
Um, I think inferencing is done during the process of making the model, like when you are testing it, trying to see if it's accurate, or then deployment is like publishing the model.
Yes, if deployment is publishing the model, what is you say what is inference?
Inference is like testing the model to see if its prediction is accurate or not.
Okay. Anybody else think differently? Anybody else think differently?
Isn't it like when you train the model, right, you're gonna
Mhm.
train it on the hard drive that you have, right? So like maybe your cloud-based inference, meaning training it using the cloud, meaning you're gonna push everything to the cloud, and then you're gonna start using the data that is in the cloud to test the actual model on the cloud.
Yeah. All right. The words, what you said, what you said is good. But there's only one word that make it incorrect, is the word test. When we talk about model inference, we've passed the level of testing the model. Model inference means the model is now acting, is now working in a real environment. So whenever you hear the term model inference, it means now the model is working. So we are done. We are done with creating the model. So for example, if you are looking for hardware, right? These are the list of hardware that can play a role in AI, right? So when they ask you to buy computing power, to buy hardware that going to help you with model inference. So first of all these devices, those are the ones that are going to use the model. So model inferences will use these devices. Of course, you will need your routers. And then out of these servers, there is some servers that are only used for training and others are used for model inferences. For example, you're dealing with, you are in a mall where there's cameras and these images need to be processed very fast, like at a high speed. They need to be sent to the server, back to the server where everything will be processed. So now, because the server that is being used in real time when the model is working, not in training the model, but when the model is working. So this will be also part of a computing power that is working in inference. So when we talk about model inference, we're talking about you've created your model, you've tested it, now it's working, now you are using it in real environment. That's model inference. Right? Is that clear? So when here we're talking about Mindspore Lite, for example, that will help you to deal with on-device inference, it means using Mindspore Lite, this is how we can be able to use the model on different devices. All right, guys.
Can I ask something?
Yes.
So what you mean by cloud inference is that when the model is being used, right?
Yeah.
Like if let us say it's taking a picture of a number plate, right? So
Yes.
that picture is not going into the hardware, but it's going into the cloud-based solution that is there. Or am I still lost?
Yeah. So it will depend on how the way the model has been installed. Because remember, sometimes let's pick up a mall. You have let's say you use you install your system in Mall of Africa, right? Okay. So in Mall of Africa there is cameras which detect everyone passing, and it's going to, let's say it's going to count how many female and how many male, right? What will that model do? So that model is trying to look at everyone who's passing, analyze different features of the person, and identify the person as male or female. And then it counts, it records the numbers. So we want to see, maybe have a statistic and say in this Mall of Africa, there's usually male and female. Then we see what type of product, what type of shops we will need to really encourage there for the business. Let's say that how your scenario is. So now you've created your model where you've trained your model to detect between male and female. You've trained it using your convolutional neural network, CNN. Now after you've trained your model, you've tested it with data. Everything is well. So now you deploy your model. That means you are now installing it into wherever system is going to use it. Now, here's the point now to answer to your question. When your model is going to be working in real life, we call it model inference. To say model inference is just the process of using a trained machine learning model to make prediction or decision on a new unseen data. That is model inference. Remember now, the new data, the new people coming into the mall have not been, like, the images, the pictures have not been used in the model. So the model is now finding new data, but it now has to train, it now has to predict, because it has been trained to know how to predict. Okay, so basically, in simple terms, what I can say is, after you train a model, that means you are teaching a certain pattern to those data. So inference will be when you apply that model to the real world input to get output, such as classification, detection, or prediction. You understand? So now, when you say we're gonna use the cloud, it will depend. If Mall of Africa, they have an office where they have all the servers and all the computing power that are going to be working with those data. So from the camera, the images are sent maybe to a certain room where there is the servers, and then the whole process is going to happen then, and then it's gonna show maybe the people working there in the mall to show them what's the results of what images are coming. In that case, it's an on-device, the what you call that? It's a simple on-device deployment. But if those information, the mall does not have servers at that place, at the location, the information, the data need to be sent to maybe an online server somewhere on the cloud, where the information are going to be processed and the result is returned back on site or to any other location. Then we're going to say there's a cloud involved in the model inference.
It's now clear. Thank you.
Is it clear?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's how it works. So basically, we have many ways of deployment. So for you, an example I can give you on your phone, right? If you have a phone that can unlock by using your face, that phone does not use any cloud. Even if you don't have network, even if your network is off, your phone can detect your face. So you must understand your phone as an NPU integrated, which will deal with all these AI processes. So directly on your phone, it's gonna detect your face and do all the processes to predict if that's your face, so it can unlock the phone. So even if you turn off your network, even if you are on airplane mode, it's still going to work. Why? Because it's not connected to any outside source or any clouds to unlock your face. But it's going to work because now this is just local. But if your phone has to take a certain information, have an external process to get it, then in that case, whatever device is being used externally in the cloud, we're going to also take that device and say it's part of this model inference. Okay, so that's what it means. Okay, is that clear? Any yes?
Yes, it is clear.
Okay. Any other question? Okay. So you need to understand now what happened during inference. So during inference, remember now, let's say we're dealing with images. So when the image comes, the only operation that also happen in training, that can also happen in inference, is the data pre-processing. That means if an image comes, the image needs to be pre-processed. For example, remember when you were training the data, your image the model was checking maybe the size of the image and all those information. So those information will be checked in inference, right? Now, the model will perform the forward computation. Remember, we said all the neural network was feed forward. So the model will perform the same operation it did in learning, where it's going to take every single features of that images. But in this case now, the model is not going to change the weight and biases or the weight in the inference on the inference level, because that was part of learning. So in inference, you just take the model, take the features, and use the model, because remember, the model is just a long mathematical formulas with unknown. Those unknown will be the features. Okay, so a model can be, maybe let's say, a model can be y equal 32 x squared minus 3x. That's an example of a model. And then plus 1. That's my model. Based on whatever scenario I was doing, it gave me this model. So these are the values. So now when there's a new input, there's a new x, it's going to replace the x and then predicts the y. So that's how any model is. No matter how complicated it is, it creates kind of a formula. And now every input, the features of the information of that input will be used in the formula and give us the prediction. Okay. All right. So we've learned about MindSpo, how MindSpo has different components, and we can see that the most basic data in MindSpo is a tensor. So tomorrow we're going to talk about tensors, because after that we're going to talk about TensorFlow, which is another AI framework, right? So what is a tensor? You just have to understand a tensor is a form of data, how you represent data. When you go to the movie, you watch a movie, sometimes you say, no, this movie is a 2D movie, right? And then you've watched, have you watched a 3D movie? Can anybody confirm if they've watched a 3D movie?
I've watched like maybe 15 seconds of a 3D or 4D in Golden City. I'm just not sure which one was it.
Yeah, go to the cinema, find which movie is playing on the day, 3D. Watch a 3D movie, you're gonna have a different experience of movies, and you will never want to go to the cinema, watch a normal movie, because the normal movie that we watch on our regular TV is just a 2D movie. So we're basically seeing everything on the screen. But when you go to the cinema to watch a 3D movie, you can't just watch from the screen. You have to wear glasses. And when you wear glasses, you have the impression that you are inside the movie. So when there's something happening in the movie, like a car coming, you feel like the car just passed next to you, you know? So it's a different experience. So that's the same way the data are represented as tensors, because tensors, it means we're going to represent the data with different dimensions. So if, for example, let's say we have a data called non-fundo. Instead of non-fundo just being an input with the name, but non-fundo will come with non-fundo and then the age. So non-fundo and the age represent one data. Okay, so we will have these tensors. That means the data come with multiple dimensions. Okay, so multi-dimensional array. So you have, for example, when it comes with a zero order tensor, we're going to call it a scalar. For example, we have the input, the value, the data is just 5. So this is a zero order tensor. That means it's just a single number. And then you can have a first order tensor, which we call a vector, which can be something like this. 1, 2. So this is a vector. Okay. And then we have a second order, which will be called a matrix. Okay, so a matrix can be represented like this: 2, 3, 4, 2, 5, 7. So these all data represent one object. So this is a matrix. Okay, so in man's poll, we have, if you want to create a tensor, right? We want to create a tensor, we want to create this element of data, we just call mindsport.tensor. So this will help us collect a set of data to create a tensor. Okay, so and then we can specify the dimension of that tensor. All right, so I think that's it for today. Maybe we'll just turn on the cameras and then I will see you. Is there any questions, guys? Any question? Any question on anything that we've done today or anything else? In the meantime, you can turn on your camera so we can take the screenshot. Is there any question, guys? Did you guys find the videos on YouTube?
Yes.
Okay. You can just check the